Welcome back, it's Nine, and today I have another video for you guys. We are going to be talking about a Square Enix update, which naturally means Forspoken and Final Fantasy XVI for the PS5 platform. We are going to be talking about Ratchet and Clank and how it's got an official preload date and a download size for you guys, and we're going to go over that briefly as well. And lastly, we'll be talking about Hideo Kojima meeting with Drive director Nicholas Winding Refn, and this could have something to do with his next game that is inevitably going to release, as fans are really speculating on this meeting. Now, before we get into that, if you have not subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to get notified about all my upcoming videos, and hit the like button. It helps the channel a ton. Now, let's get started with this tweet that comes from David Gibson, and he says, Square Enix surprised at results by saying titles coming in period ending March 2022 will be focused on new IP titles, Outriders, Forspoken, etc., that major IPs will come in the following years. So I think that means Final Fantasy XVI, Dragon Quest XII, etc. will be April 2022 or later, period. Surprised, hashtag Square Enix. So this is quite interesting. This is a surprise for some people. Personally speaking, I still think there's a lot of room here. So essentially, we're talking about Forspoken coming in as late as March 2022. And we're talking about Final Fantasy XVI possibly coming after that based on the reports that they've made. Now, this still could mean Final Fantasy XVI could drop in 2022. I don't think that this takes it off the table. It just means that it'll be after April 2022. And if we know anything about Square Enix, they usually like to aim their bigger titles later in the year. Although it hasn't worked out in the last few games, they ended up delaying them into, early, I would say January, February type of space for their games. But in this case, they could still aim for a holiday release for Final Fantasy XVI, fall or holiday release for Final Fantasy XVI. So I wouldn't take that off the table. I wouldn't say there's no way Final Fantasy XVI drops in 2022. I still truly believe that we're going to see Final Fantasy XVI in 2022, or at least an intended release for that time frame. And maybe, if anything happens in terms of pushbacks, then maybe it goes to 2023. But I feel like 2023 is going to be the year for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. So FF16 2022, Forspoken 2022, which we already know, and FF7 Remake Part 2, hopefully in 2023. But again, those last two are speculation. We only know Forspoken actually coming out in 2022. But this report is quite interesting. But still, don't get too upset about that. I think that we are going to see this game possibly in 2022. Now on to our next topic, and this is all about Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Guys, PlayStation Game Size at PlayStation Sized has tweeted out Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, download size 42.183 gigabytes without day one patch. Preload starts June 4th, launch June 11th. That is some very exciting news. I'm really hyped about this. So we get a week early preload for those of you who have an internet connection that maybe takes a while to download games. That would be great, although I don't think you'll need 7 days to do that, but still pretty awesome that you have that option. And then June 11th is obviously the launch. So that's the details there. It's kind of short and brief and sweet to the point. But overall, I'm quite surprised at the size of this game, 42 gigs. That's not bad at all for a game that I'm expecting to be quite a showcase for the PS5. Naturally, I think it depends. Some games, they're massive. Like Modern Warfare, for example, is about 250 gigs for nothing. So it's all about how they manage that storage size. So I wouldn't take much of that into account. Like, how does this impact what size the game will be in terms of scale and how much it'll be to do, because that's kind of irrelevant to the size of the game in most cases. Now on to our next topic, and this comes from GamesRadar.com, and it's titled, Hideo Kojima meeting with Drive director Nicholas Winding Refn sparked speculation about next game. So I've taken the important points out of here, and it says, Hideo Kojima recently sat down with Drive director and accomplished film writer Nicholas Winding Refn for an extended chat, which has sparked speculation and hopes of collaboration among Kojima production fans. Kojima recently tweeted about his meeting with Refn, calling it an energizing 2.5-hour discussion. Kojima's personal assistant shared some more shots of the two working together in what looks like more than a friendly catch-up, and Refn later shared Kojima's tweet with a simple, all we need is love. So It's got fans wondering what this could mean, as, you know, he's a huge films fan. He had a lot of stars in his, you know, last game, Death Stranding. Naturally, this is going to spark speculation because of that. Does this really mean anything in the grand scheme of things? Personally speaking, I don't think it does. It could have just been two people meeting together and discussing stuff. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that there's something underneath it all in production, but it very well could be at the same time. It's hard to say with Kojima. I feel like he's so unpredictable in the games he makes. He's unpredictable in the stories he tells and everything. Like, he's a very unpredictable guy, and a lot of people love that about him because you never know what he's going to give you. So this could be one of those cases. Personally speaking, again, I still feel this is probably not relevant to a project he's working on. Maybe it was just a meeting with him to discuss things, and maybe sometimes creatives get together and they talk, and it just kind of gets the thoughts flowing, right? The blood flowing. You really start, you know, opening up gates in a sense when you talk with other creative people. You know, sometimes talking it out helps. And I'm sure they did talk about creative projects that they were both working on naturally, because they can talk in confidence, and who knows, maybe they're friends. They probably are, given this. But yeah, that's kind of all we have for today's video. I'm very curious what you guys are going to make of all this. What do you think of this Square Enix report of Final Fantasy 16 possibly not coming out in 2022 or being pushed into April 2022 and later, as they are focusing on Forspoken and Outriders? Do you make anything specific of that? Do you think that we're going to see FF16 in 2022? And what do you think of Ratchet and Clank being preload ready for June 4th and only being 42.183 gigabytes? How do you feel about that? Are you surprised by that size? Or do you think that it's exactly the size you expected? Lastly, what do you think of Hideo Kojima meeting with Nicholas Winding Refn? Do you think this has anything to do with his next project? Or do you think it's just a bunch of friends meeting together, two friends meeting together and discussing everything? Let me know in the comments, and as always, if you have not subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to get notified about all my upcoming videos, and hit the like button. It helps the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Links will be in the description. And share this video with a friend. And I absolutely appreciate all of you guys watching, as I don't say it enough, the time you guys take to watch the videos and, you know, give me your thoughts, and we talk in the comments, and it is genuinely appreciated. Like, it really means a lot to me. And I do have plans, as we're reaching 7K subs soon. We're going to have something special going on as we hit the next big milestone, and I promise it'll be worthwhile. I know we haven't talked about it yet, but it will happen, and we'll go into it then. But we'll address it properly, formally, in a video of its own. But I did want to let you guys know I am very grateful for all the support that you guys have shown the channel, shown me, growing this community. Thank you so much. I will talk to you all on the next one. Take care.